Until next time. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Mackenzie, and as you could probably tell, I'm definitely not in my room right now. I'm actually in the Jeep because it is single digits until we move in, and it's a mess, honestly. So I don't want to film in my room, and I also don't want to make you guys wait any longer for this video because I know that you've waited long enough. I finally gotten my camera, and I am close to getting into the apartment that will have a really nice setup, but I figured let's just go ahead and film it because yeah, there's been so many DMs and Snapchats asking me to go ahead and film this video, so I'm going to film it for you guys. Look at this. Oh my god. Disclaimer, I feel like you guys are waiting for me to say that I was hazed and mistreated by the house, but to be quite honest, that wasn't the experience that I've had. That's some of the experiences that you'll see on other videos like mine. However, mine is definitely unique in the sense that no one else probably honestly has had an experience like mine, and if they have, I haven't found it on YouTube because trust me, I tried to find some relatability with this experience and I honestly couldn't find any. But my experience wasn't extreme like others. It was just completely unexpected. Not only is my experience unique because I was a sophomore going through recruitment, but it was also unique in the sense of how pro-Greek I was and how the process ultimately panned out for me. I don't want it to be anticlimactic, but it definitely wasn't this experience where they like threw me in a trunk and like beat the crap out of me. So yeah, anyway, let's get into it. A lot of you may question, well, if you were so pro-Greek and you wanted to go through the process and you've always known since you were little that you wanted to go through the process, why didn't you just go through the process as a freshman? Great question. I was extremely disappointed when I was told that my four-year scholarship would not allow me to rush as a freshman. While I was grateful for the financial relief that it gave me, it was definitely, I pouted like my full freshman year. It was disappointing because that was the only thing that I wanted to do in college, so to be told that I had to wait a full year really made me feel like I was at a disadvantage and kind of being gypped. Rushing as a sophomore, junior, or senior automatically puts you at a disadvantage because they have a certain allotment of those years. You're automatically put at a disadvantage based on your year. They don't tell you rushing as a sophomore is everybody says after your freshman year you completely change. You're more yourself, you find out who you are, yada yada yada. The problem with that is after your freshman year you tend to be a little less moldable than freshman, obviously. Looking back on it, my freshman self and my sophomore self were two completely different people, and that actually comes into play later in recruitment, which I'll talk about. But so yeah, it's not just that they only have certain allotments that put you at a disadvantage as a sophomore, but also the fact that you've already had experiences that freshmen have not, and so you're a lot less apt to change or be moldable as sometimes they would wish you would be. For the weeks leading up to recruitment, I researched the chapters on a national level as well as on a university level. I looked at Greek rank reviews. I talked to friends because again, I was rushing as a sophomore, so most of my friends were already in chapters. In fact, I had friends in every chapter except for two. So yeah, I did a ton of research, a ton of memorization. I felt like I would have a smooth sailing experience. Yeah. Looking back, I did not know how much this research put me at a disadvantage, because I was walking in with so much more knowledge than one, the freshmen were, and two, any PNM were. I was given this idea of how these houses were supposed to be, and that was not a good thing. For the weeks leading up to recruitment, not only did I do research, but of course, like I mentioned in my first video, the sisters do research on you. I had 7 sisters from what I considered my top house, my be-all end-all, follow me on Instagram and friend me on Facebook. Those, honest to God, when that happened a few weeks before recruitment, I lost my shit because I was so excited because I was looking at pretty much the same house that seemed to be looking at me. Of course, I had other sisters from other chapters follow me as well. And then the week before recruitment, they unfollowed me. I don't want y'all to think that they dirty rushed me in any sense because I'd never talked to any of these sisters, but they did stalk me to a certain degree. So yeah. So overall, the weeks leading up to recruitment, I felt really great. Before I get too ahead of myself, I did say in my first video that I was going to touch on my roommate's experience. Her experience was much different than mine, and she came into it with a much different perspective than I did. My roommate never disliked Greek life. However, she was not pro-Greek life, always wanted to go Greek life. She was like, yeah, that's more you, that's not really me. So I finally persuaded her the summer before sophomore year, please rush with me. I don't want to do it by myself. If you make me do it by myself, I'm going to kill you. So she rushed, and her experience was much different than mine. What I found as I was going through these houses and talking to girls is that most of them were not, I've wanted to go Greek my entire life. In fact, most of them were, I didn't really know that I wanted to go Greek, so I just did it because. And that is what my roommate was. The night before meet and greet round 1, I tried a new face mask. Now, before you say, Mackenzie, you're stupid, why did you do that? I had been using this brand for almost a year, so of course I had no idea that it would do what it did. However, I got a chemical burn across my entire face the night before rush, and I cried. I didn't know what to do. I was taking Benadryl up the ass. Like, I had no clue how bad this was going to get. Every single pore that I had raised up, and it wasn't like zits across my face. It's difficult to explain, but it was texture. So I had a bump in every pore across my entire face. It was red, it stung, and when I put makeup on, it was hot to the touch, so my makeup was literally running down my face. This was the night before recruitment, just in case I haven't already said that, which I know I have probably 3 times already. I was low-key freaking out, never honestly let up at all. So while I was going through meet and greet round and philanthropy round and house tour day and outside, not only was I sweating because it was hot as ball sack outside, my makeup was also running down my face because I had a chemical burn. This was something that I'm still living with, and Accutane hopefully will reverse, of course, but yeah, so that was my first issue. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I had a scholarship that prohibited me from rushing my freshman year. I thankfully received another scholarship. However, I had to go to a reception, and if I did not go to said reception, I forfeited my funds for the year. We're now at day 2, and I am missing part of meet and greet round. Meet and greet rounds, if you have not watched my first video, I highly suggest you go and do that. But meet and greet rounds 1 and 2 is when you meet all of the houses for the first time. So I was not meeting 3 of these houses. One of those houses, might I add, was my top, the one that had girls following me over the summer. I was ride or die, had to be in this house from my research. So yeah, I made the end of meet and greet round 2, and I saw 2 houses. However, when I went to go drop the houses that I did not like from the first 2 days, it didn't go well. The morning of day 3, we got back our schedule for the day, and that was to show who exactly had dropped us and who we had dropped. I dropped 2 houses that I absolutely did not vibe with, and I got both of those back and was also dropped by 3 houses. So let me kind of explain that. Instead of having a full set of 8 for my roster for the day, I only had 6. Yeah, I'm sure these numbers aren't adding up, but yeah, I had 6 for sure. And 2 of those 6 were ones that I had dropped the night before and did not want to go back to. So I only got 4 back that I really liked. My roommate, on the other hand, had a full 8 for her schedule that day, and the 2 that she dropped the night before also dropped as well, so she got the full 8 that she wanted back. So that was what we would consider a perfect schedule, perfect roster. Day 3 was not fun for me. I was obviously disappointed because I never even got to see the house that had the sisters following me and that I, thought was my ride or die top house. If you miss a day of recruitment for a university sponsored event, you are excused from that, and the houses are not supposed to drop you for that. However, the woman who was in charge of getting my name over to them did not. She still feels bad to this day because she's like, if I knew you were rushing, I would have done it, but I didn't know you were rushing because you're a sophomore. I'm a sophomore, guys. Just so we're clear, again, I'm a sophomore. Again. So the sophomore thing got in my way. I had a really good day 3 though, and I had my eye on 2 houses. Day 4 came around, and the 2 that I dropped the first night and the second night came back again. I am going to these houses, and 2 of the ones that I really liked had dropped me. So of course the 2 that I have dropped twice already came back for a 3rd time. And at this point, I'm getting really discouraged because while the 2 that I have had my eye on all week kept me, I still was getting dropped by houses that I would consider and others would consider, based on different research, top tier, middle tier. So, and I, looking back, would never do it the same way. However, I was basing the houses on who liked them and who didn't like them, and I highly suggest against it, but that was what I was doing. So yeah. Alright, so if you haven't listened up to this video, up to this point, I hope that you listen now. Pref night came, and I went to 2 houses. The first house I will refer to as the old me, as I have previously. The second house is what I will refer to as the new me. Both of these houses, like I've mentioned so far, I had my eye on, especially after my, what I considered top house, even though I never met the girls in them, after they dropped me. These girls in the old house had very old Mackenzie characteristics, and I vibed with that, and I was very comfortable with that. The other house, which was new me Mackenzie, by the way, Mackenzie didn't know that this was new Mackenzie. She didn't find this out until the end of her sophomore year, but bear with me. The new Mackenzie house had girls that were very independent, sassy. They knew exactly what they wanted. They didn't need no man. It was just one of those houses that I felt completely at home when it came to me being completely me naturally. With the old me house, I felt like I always had to be done up, because that was old me, where I felt in high school I had to always be done up. I had to always be at a 10, because if I wasn't, somebody would say something. That was the old me house. That's the vibe that I got. The other house though, every conversation I had with the girls in the new me house were just very authentic. One of the girls even was like, on house tour day, I walked in and she was like, all right girl, she was like, to be quite honest with you, like, we're trying to put on this show, like, we don't party and we don't like going out with our girls and da 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 da. She was like, we love doing all that shit. Oh, and we like to cuss too. And some people would have been put off by that, but that is me. That is the I don't care personality, like, take me or leave me open book. And that was what all these girls were. However, I was uncomfortable with this house from my research. My research kind of got in the way with this house. Pref night came and went, and again, I'm completely torn, because this other house makes me feel comfortable because that's the Mackenzie that I've known. However, this house over here makes me question the Mackenzie that I am. And I hope you're kind of like following. If not, I'm sorry, but yeah. So I get to the end of it, and I sat in my Maraba thing, which is where you sign that whatever bid you get, you'll accept for a full 365 days. So if you choose to leave, you still are obligated to them. Does that make sense? I act like y'all can respond to me, but yeah. So for a full 365 days, I would be obligated to whichever house I received a bid from. So after signing that, I sat there with line 1, line 2 completely blank. And I didn't honestly know what to do, because I didn't know at the time that the new Mackenzie house was actually going to be the new Mackenzie. I had no clue. And the old Mackenzie house didn't seem authentically me, because I was in this awkward position of, I've already gone through freshman year and changed so much, and I was going to continue to change. And while I felt kind of comfortable and connected to the old Mackenzie house, I knew that it wasn't where I was headed, and I didn't want to constantly be judged. I ultimately chose to pref the one that was the old Mackenzie. And for any of you, those who are watching, you're probably like, oh, well, that's the house that you got in, right? No. This is a point where I would say this is another disappointment. This is another I didn't expect this, because on bid day, I really didn't. Not really quite sure how that went, but I got into the new Mackenzie house, and that scared the living shit out of me. I didn't know that that was the new Mackenzie. I didn't feel like I would become who these girls were, and it was kind of like a challenge in a sense, because they were so independent and they were so headstrong, and I was the Mackenzie. I thought I was still the Mackenzie of that old house. If anyone's watching this and they know exactly what I'm talking about, they know exactly which houses I'm talking about, because they were there with me for that, even though honestly I haven't talked about it with a lot of people and they don't really know what happened. That's why I'm making this video. But if you did see the Instagram post before I took it down, or you did see where I ran home on bid day, I don't want you to think that I didn't like these girls, because to be quite honest, if I could do it all over again, I feel like I would have been just as successful if I had stayed at that house. But I don't want to take it back, and I don't regret it, because I've had so many things happen since then, and I've grown so much as a person that I kind of credit them for that in a sense. I'm doing all these new things, and YouTube being one of them, and I probably wouldn't have felt as comfortable or as confident in doing so if I had not had gone through this process. I ultimately walked away because at that moment in time, I did not realize how perfectly the process worked out for me. I was disappointed because of all the things that had happened during the week, the chemical burn, the scholarship ceremony, all the wardrobe malfunctions, and the makeup running down my face. Honestly, I just thought overall I was gypped, but little did I know that the process worked out exactly like it was supposed to. I didn't get my top pref because honestly, those girls were not the ones that were meant to be my possible sisters. Obviously, I never became sisters to the ones that I did receive a bid from. I'm one of those that believes everything happens for a reason. Trust the process even when it confuses you. I know it's easier said than done. Over the year, I found out that I was much more like those girls than I initially thought. And I kind of grew into the person that they saw me as during rush week, which I think is really interesting. If I could give you any advice, I would give you these tips right here, which are: don't do research, like at all. Don't do anything. Like, if you're in the middle of research right now and you're watching this video, finish it because I feel like you'll learn something from these tips. But after that, don't do it. If you go in with any expectations, you're gonna go in thinking, I must be in this house, or I must be this type of sorority girl, or I must do this during rush. If you do anything that anybody else says, you're automatically not being yourself, and you'll attract things that either are old you versions or are just not you versions in general. Everything happens for a reason. So I live by this motto, but for some reason during rush week, I just threw it out the damn window. If you miss a house, or if a house drops you by accident, or if the house drops you on purpose, let them drop you. Keep going, because I never knew going in that I would receive a bid from the house that I did. And honestly, even just receiving a bid changed how I continued my sophomore year. I know it's really hard, but if you're truly trying to find your sisters, just letting things go and letting the process work itself out will just benefit you in the long run. Don't let failed expectations get in your way of making a decision. So I let my disappointment and my failed expectations of how rush was supposed to be ultimately get in the way of me deciding to stay or go. I don't regret leaving because a lot of things have happened since then. However, if I could go back and I could make a different decision, I know that I would have been successful whether I agreed to stay or decided to leave, if that makes any sense at all. My most important piece of advice is, if you are struggling between 2 houses, or 3 houses, or 4 houses, or whatever, sit down and ask yourself, is it really the house and the sisters and the philanthropy and yada yada, or is it the struggle that you're having with old and new yous? Because even if you're not a sophomore and you're a incoming freshman, you're still struggling with the trying to be an adult, don't want to have that old high school identity. So if you're struggling with houses and you aren't quite sure, because it's not about the philanthropy and it's not about the sisters and it's not about this, ask yourself, is it about you? Because if it is, and you're struggling between 2 houses, go with the one that challenges you, because you will become that person. I really hope that that makes sense as well. Let me give you this really quick piece of advice. I knew from jump which houses I did not like. Jump meaning after meeting them. If you're nervous about a house, it is not because you don't vibe with them and that they're not your sisters. Honestly, it's probably because they reflect something in you that you either aren't aware of or that makes you uncomfortable because it would force you to grow or challenge yourself. You will know from jump which houses you don't like and don't vibe with. So if you're nervous about a house, you're not sure about a house, it's because there's something in it that you truly like, but it may scare you because it challenges you to be a different person or a different version of you. Alright guys, I hope that that clears up a lot of things and that this video wasn't anticlimactic for you. I hope that you took something away from it, especially if you're going to go through rush or if you're interested in sorority recruitment in general. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I would tell you at the end why I am not anti-Greek life, and that is because of obviously things that I have said through this video, which is that the process did work for me, and also because I am planning to go through a different process this upcoming semester. We have a new sorority coming to campus this fall if the one-on-one goes well. I am going through the founding members new chapter to campus process. Anyway, if that process pans out, or even if it doesn't go well, I will definitely make a video about that process, as it is much different than other processes. like the typical recruitment process, I will make a video to tell you what to expect. I need to listen to my own advice because I tell you not to do research and then I do research myself. But I was trying to find a video on YouTube about this process to kind of see what to expect, and I haven't found any. So I will definitely make one about my own experience. If you have any questions for me that I did not answer in part 1 or part 2, please leave some comments down below, DM me on Instagram, Snapchat me, whatever you want to do, and I will answer those questions for you for sure. If you have any hesitations for Greek life, or you're just not quite sure and you need some affirmation on that, feel free to contact me. Yeah, so I love you guys dearly, and I will see you in my next video. Some things to expect coming up are a move-in day video, a apartment haul, apartment tour, college videos coming your way within this next week and a half, 2 weeks. The next time you see me should be a vlog of me getting my hair completely changed. Yeah, so I love you guys dearly, and I hope that you have a great day. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, leave some comments and some love down below, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. We would love to add you to the family. If you have any suggestions for videos, please leave them with me. Also, don't forget to follow me places. Those social media handles will be down below in the description box. Again, guys, I love you so much, and I will see you very soon. Until next time.